This is the operating system that is in everyone's mouth when recommending where to start your Linux journey. It has gained a reputation of being the ultimate newbie-friendly distribution, and I believe for good reason. Today we're taking a look at Linux Mint. Who is it exactly for, and if the legends about its hospitality towards Windows refugees are true. I'm Oscar, the super user, and I have a system with Linux Mint installed. It's not mine, it belongs to my 7-year-old son, but that should give you a clue of how easy Mint is to use. He uses it for schoolwork, a couple of games, and watching videos, and he has never once had to ask me for help. He just uses it. And that's the kind of magic we're talking about today. I can fully trust this thing to him because aside from the web browser and the dangers of the internet, there isn't anything else that worries me like annoying ads, sensationalist news widgets, or pre-installed TikTok. Okay, so let's break down why Mint is often recommended as the best Linux operating system for regular humans. Philosophy. To really get Linux Mint, you have to understand its core philosophy. Mint is based on Ubuntu, which itself is a massively popular version of Linux that's based on an even more legendary, more foundational distribution called Debian. Think of Mint as taking the solid, well-tested foundation of Ubuntu and Debian and steering it in a very specific direction. And that direction is guided by one powerful mission: create a modern, elegant and comfortable desktop that's both powerful and dead simple to use, that is not aligned with any corporate agendas. So the key difference here with Ubuntu is that Linux Mint is a community-driven project, not a corporate one, led by Clément Lefebvre. Clément Lefebvre, pardon my French. There's no billion-dollar company calling the shots, no shareholders demanding growth, and zero incentive to push weird experimental features on its users. Let me try that again. Clément Lefebvre. Clément Lefebvre. There. Right, so it's the answer to the question, what if a desktop was designed purely for the user's comfort and stability? So it takes the community approach of Debian and freedom, but it also takes the objective of Ubuntu of providing a solid, out-of-the-box desktop. This philosophy also has real-world effects you can actually feel. Unlike its parent Ubuntu, which has integrated controversial technologies such as snap packages, Mint has famously said no. It prioritizes technologies that are open, established, and widely accepted, such as Flatpak. Updates are also handled conservatively. Mint bases its major releases on Ubuntu's long-term support (LTS) versions, which means you can upgrade to a new version every 2 years or stay where you are and get 5 years of security updates for each major version. This isn't an operating system that's going to radically change on you every 6 months. It's a stable, predictable foundation you can depend on for years. You could even call it boring in a way, like it's just basically going to fade out of the way so you can get your work done. Also, this community focus also means that the project lead, Clément, actively listens to user feedback, giving people a real voice in their own OS. A familiar desktop. For anyone escaping Windows, the biggest fear is booting up and feeling totally lost in a strange new world. This is where Linux Mint, especially the flagship Cinnamon edition, works its magic. The moment you boot the live USB, you're greeted with something that feels instantly familiar. The desktop is clean and intuitive. You've got a taskbar at the bottom, a start menu on the left, and your clock, volume, and network settings in a system tray on the right. If you used any version of Windows in the last 20 years, you'll instinctively know your way around. The Cinnamon desktop was created by the Mint team specifically to provide that traditional, comfortable experience when other desktops were getting a bit too experimental. And it's only gotten better. Recent versions have polished the experience with cleaner themes and subtle animations that make it feel sleek without being distracting. Cinnamon will be getting a few new touches as well at the end of this month with the release of Linux Mint 22.3 Xena, so it is constantly refining something that already works really well without revolutionizing it. But familiar doesn't mean boring. A fair criticism of Mint in the past was that it looked a little dated. Well, the developers have clearly been listening. The theming engine is incredibly easy to use. With just a few clicks, you can change your entire desktop theme, icons, and colors. Do you want dark mode? It's a toggle switch. Do you want transparency? You got it. You can even add desklets for weather or calendars to your desktop and add new applets to your taskbar, all from a simple graphical menu. It hits that perfect sweet spot between being simple out of the box and deeply customizable for when you're ready to tinker, if ever. Software. So it looks familiar, but can it actually do stuff? This is another area where Mint's focus on beginners really shines. So talking about software, the number one worry for switchers is, can I run my apps? Mint's software manager is designed to feel like an app store on your phone. You open it, search for what you need, like Spotify, Steam, or WhatsApp, and click install. That's it. No terminal required. It's clean, fast, and painless. Now, keep in mind, as I said before, Mint is based on Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, which means that the base software available is essentially from 2024, so it's outdated. That's by design, mainly because Mint is looking for good stability and for things to not change often. Luckily, it seamlessly supports Flatpak, a modern package format that lets you get the latest app versions directly from developers, which is set up for you from the get-go. So if you want the latest version of, say, OBS, the streaming and recording software everybody uses, you can get the Flatpak if you so wish. But I'd wager that most people don't really have an imperative need for the latest of latest versions of programs. And still, it's good to know, since it's based on LTS versions, whenever a new LTS version comes out, such as next year, Ubuntu 26.04, then Mint will rebase to that new version and update all its base packages. Talking about updates, Mint's Update Manager is a simple shield icon in your system tray. When it glows, you have updates. Yep, that's it. It's very simple visual language right there. You click it, you look over the changes if you want, and hit Install Updates. It's designed to be clear and simple. You can update whenever you want. You won't be forced to do so. And even then, most updates are minor tweaks like security patches for packages, so nothing that completely transforms your system. But here's Mint's killer feature for beginners: Time Shift. Right from the welcome screen, Mint practically begs you to set up this powerful system snapshot tool. Think of it as a system restore on steroids. If you ever mess something up, you just open Time Shift, pick a snapshot from yesterday, and restore your entire system to exactly how it was. It's a safety net that gives new users the confidence to explore without the fear of breaking everything. And finally, performance. Linux Mint is famously light on resources. The main Cinnamon edition is smooth and responsive, even on modest hardware. But if you have a truly ancient machine, like a decade-old laptop, Mint still has you covered with its XFCE and Mate editions. XFCE in particular is exceptionally lightweight and can breathe new life into computers that would choke on Windows 11. This makes Mint a great choice not just for beginners, but for anyone looking to be resourceful with their old tech. So back to the big question: is Linux Mint truly the perfect on-ramp for a Linux journey? I'd say yes, for most cases. It's perfect for the student who just needs a reliable machine for research. It's perfect for the parent trying to revive an old laptop for their kids. It's perfect to give it to your tech-challenged relatives. But if you're a hardcore gamer who needs bleeding-edge drivers because you have very modern hardware, or a developer who needs access to the latest builds, it is not that ideal. You might eventually find a distro more tailored to those specific needs. You can browse my Choose Your Distro playlist if you want to have a look at other distributions and know how they work or who they are intended for. In the end, Linux Mint is so recommended because it understands its target users. It knows most people don't want to fiddle with config files or open a terminal. They want an operating system that gets out of their way so they can get work done, browse the web, and just use their computer without worrying about system breaking updates. It provides a stable, secure, and familiar environment that gently introduces you to the power of Linux without ever ramming it down your throat. You could use Mint for years and never open the terminal if you don't want to. I know I haven't clicked on the terminal once to set it up for my child. And I know I can trust my grandma with Linux Mint more than Windows, basically because it's just safer and it's even easier than Windows, I'm gonna admit. If you want something more advanced, perhaps even spicier because you're like a power user, stay tuned for next week because we're jumping into the deep end of the Linux world. But before we go, it's always good to remember what the good old terminal always tells us. With great power comes great responsibility.